Welcome to this week's Techie Tip. We'll be talking about Google Slides animation. Animation is a fun feature. It adds some creativity and interest to the information that you're presenting. It allows you to really identify a particular point. The only caution I may suggest is that too much animation can also distract from the message that you're creating because people are paying more attention to the animation than they are to the information you're presenting. So I have two slides here. The first is the slide introducing animation, and the second is a slide that has our title, some text boxes, and a graphic. So let's return to our first slide and begin animating this information. So I'm going to go to my Insert menu and I'm going to select Animation. And when I do that, the Animation toolbox appears on the right side of the screen. There are several options here. One is to transition your slide into the next slide, and the second is to actually add an animation. So we're going to select the transition piece first, and if you don't want transitions, you can certainly apply that. If you do, you can select transitions from this particular drop-down menu. The gallery transition is kind of a nice one, but you can explore that and the type that's appropriate for your information when you build your presentation. You can also select how quickly the slides come in. Notice if I drag my mouse box along here, I can determine how slow or fast the slides appear or transition. We'll choose fast. And in this case, I really like this gallery design, so I'm going to apply it to all my slides. Let's go to our next slide with all of our different text boxes on it. The first text box has 3 bulleted items. And this is kind of interesting because if you want each bulleted item to appear as an animation in your presentation, you actually have to select the animation, choose the type that you want. In this case, we will choose, we will choose fly in from the bottom. And then we have a choice of how do we want it to fly in. When we click our mouse after the previous slide or at the same time as an existing slide. And you'll see how the with previous click works when we get to our graphic. So in this case, we're going to choose on click, and I'll keep it at a relatively fast speed. But because I want each of those text boxes in this particular box to appear when I click my mouse, I'm going to select by paragraph. So the next item we have here is a chart. If I select the chart and click my Add Animation button, I can choose how I want it to appear. And in this particular case, we'll choose Fly in from the top. But we're going to choose with previous. And as we play this animation, you'll see this visually, how with previous works. But basically what I've told Google Slides to do is when charts appears in my box, my text box, I want this graphic on charts to appear at the same time with the previous animation. Over here on the right of my slide, I have 4 different text boxes. This is kind of important because if you want each of these text boxes to appear as a different animation and not one after the other as our first text box, then you do have to have the information appear in separate text boxes. So let's take a look at how this works. Let's select Word Art. Click on Animation. Let's choose Zoom In. on click, and because it's a separate text box, we don't have to select by paragraph. Let's go to our next one, add animation. We will choose something like fly in from the right, and once again, I don't need to check by paragraph. Let's go to my third text box, add the animation, and we'll try something such as fly in from the top. And let's go to our last text box, add animation, and we're going to choose zoom in. And again, we don't have to select by paragraph because it's its own text box. So let's see how we did. Let's click our play button, and I'm going to click on the screen. So here's my first text, second, and notice my chart and my graphic with the chart came in at the same time. So let's click one more time, and there's my word art, my comments, lines and shapes, and tables and slides. So these are all the different kinds of things that you can do to animate and add some creativity to your Google Slides. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Techie Tip.